Kia ora. This is John Winters, Supermarket Sleuth, talking to you live from Auckland, and we're still in lockdown, I'm afraid, so still in a temporary studio until we can get back to normal. So what are we talking about this week? How to get rid of those frustrating queues outside supermarkets must be good news for British consumers. It looks as though the UK is taking a leaf out of New Zealand's books. During the last lockdown we had in April, one of our supermarkets introduced an app which allowed customers to book in and request a place in the queue outside the supermarket. Then when a place became available, they were sent a text to their app and they had 5 minutes to get out of their car and get into the queue at the store, or get to the front of the store. Now, in the UK they're doing it slightly differently, so we'll find out. Much better to sit in your car in the virtual queue until it's time for your turn to enter the supermarket, which is true, much better. Now, Sainsbury's is piloting a virtual queuing system. It's been running via the You First app until now, going live at its Uxbridge, Pimlico, Dome Roundabout in Watford, Leicester North and Newham Royal Wharf stores. The pilot has been used to assess how customers respond to the solution and how it helps staff to manage queues and the flow of customers in and out of stores. Sainsbury's said it could also help it to understand how quickly the technology can be implemented if it's needed at short notice due to a local lockdown, or scaled up if government guidance changes. Customers could monitor their position in the store from their car, home or other location before being notified when they reached the front. That's slightly different to the New Zealand version, as 5 minutes was the time allowed for customers to reach the store from their car. In New Zealand, the idea behind that was to stop them using it from home and then not reaching the store in time to join the queue, which would have been frustrating all around. No doubt we'll soon find out if the system will be a goer or not. It was reported that supermarket sales in the UK rose £3.2 billion to a new record high as people working from home splashed out on tea, coffee and biscuits. Yes, I would understand that. Morning tea and afternoon tea. Kantar reported that grocery sales for the 12 weeks to July 12 shot up by 16.9%, the fastest increase since records began in 1994. Shoppers spent an additional £24 million on tea and coffee and £19 million on biscuits as people worked from home. Wow. But over the fall, alcohol was the fastest growing category, up 41%, followed by frozen foods, which grew 22%. But over the last 4 weeks of that period, shoppers seem to be returning to normal habits, as sales growth slowed to 14.6%. Morrison's was the strongest performer of the UK's Big Four grocers, as it reported a 17.4% jump in sales over the period. Tesco reported 15.1% growth, Sainsbury's 13.5% and Asda 11%. By comparison, at online retail Ocado, sales rose by 45.5%. Wow! The Co-op and Iceland both also saw strong demand, with sales jumping 30.6% and 34.1% respectively. We in New Zealand have to feel sorry for the Big Four supermarkets in the UK. First they had to deal with the arrival of the German discounters many years ago, and now Amazon Prime is the enemy. But Tesco is fighting back. Following Amazon's recent introduction of free delivery on grocery orders for members of its Prime scheme, Tesco's decided to get back at them by doing something itself. Presently it charges a standard £4.50 for a delivery slot, but its chief executive Dave Lewis has suggested fees could be scrapped for shoppers who signed up to its Club Card Plus scheme launched last year. This costs £7.99 a month shopping discount, which gives you shopping discounts along with other benefits. So that's a no-brainer, because it's going to cost you, by the time you've had a couple of deliveries, you've more than spent that. So I think it's a good idea. He says they may look at adding a delivery benefit to what's already available. Obviously, Amazon's plan to expand its fresh service around the UK alongside the free delivery offer is part of its drive to grab more market share and capitalise on the recent increase in demand for online grocery shopping. Since the virus outbreak, Tesco has pushed up its delivery slots from just over 600,000 a week to 1.4 million to meet surging demand. Lewis said they would first have to decide if they could manage the huge online demand before deciding if they could offer free delivery. Most supermarkets charge for delivery as the fees are thought crucial for funding it, as it covers the cost of in-store pickers and delivery drivers. Now let's turn to two light stories before we leave the UK. Unilever's hygiene brand Lifebuoy is set to make a return to the UK market following its disappearance in the 1990s. The 130-year-old brand is one of the world's leading antibacterial soaps, sold in almost 60 countries. It proved particularly popular during the pandemic as part of consumers' hygiene routines. The launch will be supported by a £12 million advertising campaign focusing on the importance of hygiene. Owner Unilever will also be rolling out hand sanitizer stations in selected retail stores and high infection areas, including coffee shops and cinemas. Our other interesting development, more in the interests of the environment than the pandemic, is Beiersdorf-owned brand Nivea has begun trialling a refill station for its shower gel range as part of a drive to boost its sustainability credentials and reduce its reliance on plastic. The concept is being trialled in German health and beauty chain DM. The machine was designed and developed by a cross-functional team within Beiersdorf's global packaging and R&D functions to explore the concept of reusable bottles. It's good to see that looking after the environment has not been forgotten in these troubled times. We moved to New Zealand for our final burst this week. We returned to lockdown last week with different attitudes from our two major supermarket groups. When the lockdown was announced, Australia-owned Countdown very soon announced limits on popular items that people panic buy, whereas the New Zealand-owned foodstuff stores asked their customers to be sensible and not to panic buy. They did not nationally introduce any limits, even though some individual stores may have done. Well done, Countdown, and shame on you, foodstuffs. As your competitor introduced these, surely you lose nothing by doing the same. It simply beggars belief. That's it for this week. A short one today. Hopefully we'll be back to a normal presentation next week, but we'll have to wait and see. Catch me on YouTube on my Supermarket Sleuth channel where you're watching this now, or on my checkout page on Facebook. You can catch my live radio show on New Zealand's Magic Talk on a Saturday morning, shortly after that on a Saturday NZ time, by visiting my Supermarket Sleuth page on Facebook. And I'm assuming that most of you, the 10:45 AM time in New Zealand to watch that live, probably doesn't work for you, so it goes up on my Supermarket Sleuth Facebook page and you can watch it at your leisure then. So have a good weekend everybody, and keep safe.